these guys, and Amy, you'll get people complaining about these every once in a while.
Yeah, we heard that at the clue meeting there.
Yeah.
Yep.
These are banded mystery snails, Viperus georgineus, if you really want it. They were brought into the lake probably 1870, 1880 by loggers. So it's not a new introduction at all, but it's definitely invasive. And they're die-offs. That's what they were complaining about at the clue meeting.
Mm-hmm. They brought in purposely by loggers or accidentally?
Yeah, you get die-offs of these, and there'd be shells all over people's beaches. And then they complain.
Yeah, they stink up the water apparently.
Or even I've had people say that we got zebra mussels, which we test for regularly in the fall, and we currently don't have a population of zebra mussels in this lake. But of course we've got boats coming and going all the time. Mm-hmm. Now as to what these guys do to the flora and fauna, they probably take the place of other snails. Mm-hmm. But interestingly enough, these are they need oxygen in the water. And therefore they're an indication of good oxygen.
Right.
Whereas a lot of snails breathe air, and they can survive in very, very terrible situations. These can't. So, banded mystery snails. This is another guy that is really pretty, but isn't a major problem. You're only going to find it
Grab the book out of it.
in little back bays.
So really shallow, still water.
Shallow, muddy bays. But it came to Canada in 1932, and it was brought in by the Ottawa Experimental Farm. And it was in a ditch at the experimental farm, and it got loose. And it's now all over Ontario.
Right.
It's very pretty. It has little flowers with 3 petals. Very pretty little thing. And it's just starting. You're going to see that, but only in very specific locations. Back bays, beaver ponds. And it's just starting, but it reproduces by fragmentation.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that'll float and go all over the place. And then, of course, last but not the real problem one, and if you pull out the page on this one, this is European milfoil. And there are some Canadian milfoils, and evidently this one hybridizes with some of the native ones.
Yes.
Make it worse. But you count the filaments along the side of each little frond, and what's the book say? Just to make sure I'm right.
Where are we?
It says
12 or more thread-like segments along each side.
And here it is. Like I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
So that's more than 12, and that's
And the tips of it are reddish. It flowers in August.
So is that flowering? That's not a.
That's the start of it.
That's
it's
the start.
not flowering yet. It won't flower until August.
It'll get quite red, so it's easier to see when it's flowering.
It doesn't.
Okay.
It doesn't reproduce by seed much.
Right.
But it reproduces by fragmentation. So every time a high-speed boat like that goes through a patch, it spreads it. Now it likes 3 feet, 2 feet, 3 feet to about 10 feet. So, like, you don't get it right beside the shore, and you don't get it in water like this. We're in 40 feet of water.
No.
And this is the one that they have been raising weevils to kill. There's a native beetle in Ontario that is in this lake, we're sure.
Right, yeah, okay, cool.
That lays its eggs on the European milfoil. The weevil goes up the stalk, eats the stalk, and damages the plant. Then it comes beetle. It hibernates on the shore, but one of Mike's Fox's graduate students did some work at Pigeon Lake and found that it definitely prefers naturalized shoreline.
To overwinter and
To overwinter. Now, if there's a big food source for a creature, normally they would expand their population naturally. But Scugog Lake and Big Cedar Lake have made use of people raising these weevils to augment the population at $1 a weevil, and Big Cedar was
100,000.
100,000 weevils.
3 years.
3 years.
That's
Now-
a lot of. And Big Cedar's quite small lake. That's a lot of weevils.
Now, the topography of their lake is such that there's a lot of area between 2 and 10 feet.
Right.
So,
Pretty shallow.
whereas we have, but one of the things Amy's going to do is figure out where all the populations are in the lake, and it's now that far from the surface. So in a week or two, you're going to be able to
Come
see
right
it
up.
a lot
Have you guys
better.
been seeing it?
A little bit, yeah. Especially in the bays and such. You see them more.
I mean, the biggest motivator for people to do things with the shoreline is they believe there's weeds in the lake.
Yeah.
And that is complaint that, you know, they have growing. I mean, it's a really, really clean lake now, but people know that if weeds come, that affects property values, swim, everything. And
They
there are
don't-
lakes south
don't
around
like to
Peterborough.
swim in them.
Yeah. And there's some awful lakes south of here.
No one's
Yeah.
going to buy a cottage and you can't go swimming off your dock. It's as simple as that. So, Shamong and Pigeon and some of those lakes are going to have a depreciation in property value,
Probably
just
so.
based on the fact they want to go swimming.
Yeah. So,
And it means that lakes like this are going to go up in value. So buy now.
yeah. So in this project, are you monitoring invasive species then, or like is that something you? So if you observe something, you write it down and then it goes into the report.
But of the, of the three there, it's Eurasian milfoil. It's a concern, really.
Yeah, that's the biggest. Yeah.
Although I get complaints about the frog bed occasionally. Anyways,
Thanks.
European milfoil came into Ontario about